So Madison Cawthorne went on a podcast. It was tweeted by the account Patriot Takes, some right-wing thing. He talked about what goes on in Washington, D.C. Now, it's really interesting. I'm going to play it for you, then we'll discuss if you believe it and everything else around it.
With House
about
of
to get
Cards.
serious.
Yes, I am. With Kevin Spacey, and I forget who else was in it. But anyway.
Really well done show.
Very well done show.
Very well done show.
But it was so dirty, and it was about this congressman who was Kevin Spacey, who was, I think it was minority or majority whip.
Yep.
What was it? Yeah. And so anyway, very, very powerful guy. And it was just kind of like his secret life of all this corruption and power and money and perversion. And it was just dirty. How much, in your opinion, because you've been behind the veil, is this fictitious show, or is this more closer to like a documentary? Is it that bad?
So I heard a former president that we had in the 90s was asked the question about this. And he gave an answer that I thought was so true. And he said, the only thing that's not accurate in that show is that you could never get a piece of legislation about education passed that quickly.
And everything else is good?
Aside from that, I mean, the sexual perversion that goes on in Washington, I mean, being kind of a young guy in Washington with the average age is probably 60 or 70. And I look at all these people, a lot of them that I've looked up to through my life. I've always paid attention to politics, guys that, then all of a sudden you get invited to, like, well, hey, we're going to have kind of a sexual get-together at one of our homes. You should come. And I'm like, what did you just ask me to come to? Yeah. And then you realize they're asking you to come to an orgy. Yeah. Or the fact that, there's some of the people that are leading on the movement to try and remove, addiction in our country. And then you watch them do, a key bump of cocaine right in front of you. And it's like, wow, this is wild.
Interesting. Now, question is, do you believe him? My answer is complicated. My answer is, yes, I think all of those things are going on. No, I don't believe that he was invited to them. And no, I don't believe that anybody said those things to him or did those things in front of him. Now, why do I say that? I say that because he's a known liar. There's a number of things about his story coming up that he just made up. And then, that was debunked and disproven in the media a number of times. And so he's not a trustworthy source. Having said that, all those things go on, they ain't fucking invite him. He also talks about, like, people in their 60s and 70s who I've looked up to my whole life, and, like, they've invited me to these things. That would be bold. That'd be ballsy, no pun intended. Of some, like, what? Like Chuck Grassley is going to invite you to an orgy? Fuck out of here. Oh, by the way, the mental on that, jeez. But he's the one who did famously say, you guys got to go to the Dairy Queen in Windsor for you know what. What? Chuck Grassley? Please tell me, what did you go to the Dairy Queen for? No, but for real, I don't believe that those things happen in front of him. I don't. I don't think they happen in front of him. I think he's lying. But I guarantee you plenty of them do drugs. No doubt about that. And the orgy thing, yeah, but I don't think it's like, I don't think you're talking about like 50, 60, 70% of them. I maybe 10% of them or 5% of them or something. I would guess that that's the reality of the situation. But yeah, you don't, a 65-year-old or 70-year-old politician to invite, I mean, how old is Madison Cawthorne? Is he in his 20s? Or is he like 30 or something like that? You don't like, I'm sure the vetting process on that front would be like a little longer than just like, hey, we like you. You want to come suck off Bob? Like, I don't think that's how it would go down. I think they're smoother with it. I think they're more intelligent with how they go about it. And honestly, I don't think he'd make the cut for... They got to know that you're not a weirdo loudmouth to do that, because they know if anything gets out on that front, and it would be serious. And again, Madison's a known liar. He's a proven liar. It's like, I was going to say they wouldn't invite Marjorie Taylor Greene, but low-key, she did. Remember that story about how she was with like her trainer or something? She was in some sort of an open relationship or whatever. Look, I'm not judging, which leads to my final point, which is, if indeed this stuff is true, it's the most based thing about Congress. You know what I'm saying? Like Congress is full of demons. Congress is full of incredibly corrupt narcissists. It's a cesspool. It's a cesspool. But if indeed, they're taking key bumps while they're in the bathroom at Congress before going out on the floor to give a speech, if they're getting together and spreading the joy around and people are nutting left and right and having fun, it's like Congress, if this fact is real and more stuff gets out about it, Congress's approval rating might go from like 20% to like 31%. Like they might get a little bit of a bump in the polls as a result of doing bumps and bumping and grinding, if you know what I'm saying. So anyway, like I want to take him at his word here, but that would be naive of me because he's such a liar in so many other ways. But I do think that stuff is going on. I just don't think it's going on in front of him. I think he made these stories up. And but would be interesting to see is an actual list of, hey, here are the people that are doing the orgies. You know, here are the ones who set it up and take a leadership position. Here are the ones with the tiny peckers. I'm kidding. I'm joking. I don't want to know about who has a tiny pecker in Congress. I have no interest in that whatsoever. But anything is possible given that we all know the Jeffrey Epstein story. And, you know, Jeffrey Epstein was the CEO of Elite Sex Crimes Incorporated. Like, that's what he was. He had dirt on everybody and their mother. Dirt on Bill Clinton, dirt on Donald Trump, dirt on all these billionaires, these tech geniuses, et cetera, et cetera. And, oh, would you look at that? He wound up dead in a jail cell. You know? So, like, if that story is real, and we know that's real, we saw it unfold, well, I guess anything else is possible. But given that story, this actually looks a little more tame, right? Like, oh, you're just doing key bumps of coke and having orgies? Well, shit. I'm happy that, you know, it's not a dungeon and there aren't children involved, because then that would be bad. then that would be, you know, the elite demon sex cabal that we all feared and saw some evidence of. So anyway, there you have it. Madison Cawthorne. Not buying it from him in particular, although I'm sure some of those activities do go on. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.